Hello, sports fans, and welcome to Coach One Sports. Yours truly, Coach Kevin Bull Jones, here to talk about Alabama football and their 2022 season preview. And of course, this is from a coach's point of view. So, sports fans, sit back, relax, and enjoy how I'm going to come to you with this one because I'm going to break down to you the nitty to the gritty of why Alabama's going to have a great season, but here's going to be some key things about their season that's going to really determine where the muscle is going to be. I've waited for everybody else to give their prognostications on purpose because everybody wants to go ahead and admit the obvious. Okay, you got two guys running for the Heisman Trophy. One on offense, which is, of course, Bryce Young, reigning Heisman Trophy winner. And then you have Will the Terminator Anderson Jr. on the defensive side of the ball. But I got some other reasons why Alabama, from a coach's point of view, what is going to make them stand out in a season where greatness is only a couple of months away, should I say, a great win, a great season. The beginning of all of that is only days away to watch Alabama play in January. So if you like the show, make sure that you follow, comment, subscribe, like, all of the above. So I want to talk about, from a coach's standpoint, what's going to put Alabama over the top this year. So as I thought about it, of course, the obvious, everybody, all of the people that have done their shows on talking about Alabama football and their season preview talk about the obvious, but there's some intricate parts of that I want to give to you. There's 4 points to why Alabama is going to be able to be playing in January in that national championship game. And yes, that's what I said, national championship game. Okay, and once again, from a coach's point of view, first of all, the star power of the guys that they have that lead the team. Okay, you have offense with Bryce Young, you have defense with Will Anderson, and then you have your special teams with Will Rashad. Okay, let's not forget about him as the place kicker last year. The great job he did in flipping, what we call flipping the field, and making sure that from a defensive standpoint, that's my thing. A defensive standpoint, we have pushed the offense back into negative side of the field for them to have to travel long to possibly score. So you've got veteran guys at that position, just as much as everybody wants to talk about Will Anderson Jr. as well as Bryce Young. There are some key components that go with them that put them in a class all by themselves. Okay, yes, people talk about Jahmyr Gibbs being there, battle-tested, high-level competition, many reps, okay, against great teams, and he's been able to be a standout player. And now he's the number one projected running back on the depth chart for University of Alabama. Okay, he's been in the fire. He's been against great teams. And also a two-headed monster in being able to return kickoffs and do a great job with that. But catching 60 passes out of the backfield, sports fans, that is just on another level for a running back. Okay, and if you got a chance to watch the spring game, the gas he has in those feet. Okay, because he can break one and bump his head on the goalpost. And next thing you know, Coach Saban decide if he wants to go for 1 point after attempt or go for 2-point conversion. But nevertheless, you've got him in your stable. Next person, of course, Jermaine Burton. Okay, won a national championship with University of Georgia. Offense that really was a run-oriented offense. Okay, so his ability to get chances to get the ball thrown to him and his ability to have productive plays against big-time teams, of course, playing against Alabama twice and being very successful and leading, being able to score and be an asset when he was on the other side of the field playing against Alabama. Now he's here making things happen for the Bama Crimson Tide, and that's high level, okay? And he has been able to implant himself as one of the starters here to be able to have that, I call it a star power of experience. Okay, everything on paper sounds great. Okay, everything sounds great. Everybody wants to talk about it on paper. But when you talk about the nuts and bolts of the why And who are going to be those guys that lead the charge? You got somebody on special teams, Will Rashard. Okay, you got offense. Now you've got not just, Bryce Young. You've got some more receivers for him to be able to target. And in fact, you got a couple of freshman players on the offensive side of the ball that have been able to stand out in the fall camp. Okay, because they're working against really good players every day. Okay, so you flip it over to the defensive side. Yeah, Henry To'o is still there. Okay, but you also complement that with Dallas Turner, who had 8.5 sacks last year. Okay, so Will Anderson has helped, but the guy on the defense side of the ball that doesn't get enough recognition is really the quarterback of the defense, and I call that Jordan Battles, who had 85 total tackles last year. Sports fans, to have someone in the secondary, and that is a veteran secondary, and there's been some great competition in fall camp for those positions. You got some guys beat up right now, but the depth, and I'll get back to that in a minute, really stands out for Bama this season. So when you talk about those elite players, you don't have just one on offense, one on defense. You got multiple guys that all on the same accord about success. That leads me to my next point about why Alabama is going to be playing in January in the national championship game. Sports fans, you have the greatest coach in the history of college football, no doubt about it. But his ability to grab the most out of a situation, and in this case, it's a loss, losing to Georgia in the national championship game. It's been a rocky offseason. Coach Saban put himself out there, and he took all the shots. He took all the bullets this summer, in defense of his team, and in talking about subjects, that are hot topics that really, NIL and recruiting and things of that nature, and everything he's been through with Jimbo Fisher, but from a coaching standpoint, there is also, he set the stage, and that's the point that everybody's not getting. He set the battlefield. If you ever get a chance to read, and I tell every coach, read this, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, read it, because the victory has already been claimed before the battle has even started. You got to read the book, though. If you don't read the book, then you don't know what I'm talking about. Read the book, okay? It's talking about the art of war, how to attack people. And what Coach Saban did was immediately, everybody wants to talk about all of that. Bama has everybody coming back. Yeah, they do, but you still got to go play. And everybody's going to give you their A game. Okay, last year, Bama had 5 games where they won, but it was 7 points or less. What does that tell you? That means everybody bought their A game. Everybody said, we don't care. We're going to play. We're going to give Bama everything. So as a coach, you have to be able to bring your team up to that occasion, to play every weekend like, it's do or die. 185 wins, only 25 losses in 15 years at one place. That's phenomenal. Okay, that is something that we'll probably never see ever in a lifetime about college football sports. But here's part of that. Here's another arm to that I want everybody to listen to. The reason why he's going to have so much success this year is because as he steers that ship, he's got 2 powerful coordinators. Say what you want about Pete Golden. Yes, I love Pete Golden because he's got to take all those targets. He got to take all the shots when everybody's mad. When the defense does great, okay, it's the players. Nobody wants to give him the credit, but you still have to be in the room to scheme. You still got to dial it up. Okay. And when you dial it up, it's the most criticized position in college football, the coordinator's position, because they call the plays. So do or die. If it works, they're a genius. If it doesn't work, they're the worst thing since, bottled water. What can I say? I mean, Pete Golden has to wear that mantle regardless, and he has to be able to put those guys in situations to win, whether it's dime package, whether it's nickel package, whether it's zone, whether it's combo coverages. When do you blitz a player? He has to be the mastermind. Yes, Coach Saban is there, but listen, you have a veteran, battle-tested coordinator that's still at Alabama. That's why Alabama's defense, not just the players, but give the coaches some credit as well. Charles Kelly still there. as the as safeties coach. Come on, won a national championship as a defense coordinator before, so he's been there, done that, got the T-shirt. But when you flip it on the other side, and you have Bill O'Brien, say what you want, but when it comes to calling plays, he knows exactly what the heck he's doing. He's one of those coaches at the top of the food chain. Okay, and if you know football, you know that about him. I certainly know the things that I've learned just from a strategic standpoint of attacking people. But in that attacking people, you have to motivate those kids to be great. So with that being said, Bill O'Brien had, you got 3 starters coming back on the offensive line, had to replace all the receivers. You still got your Heisman quarterback. You got a new running back, and everybody has to gel. Yeah, it didn't all look good in the spring game, but you had starters out on the offensive line. But guess what? Those guys, plus, we added a transfer in from Vanderbilt. You got some guys ready to play. So that is a great part of being a coach. Precision coaching in tough situations, making the call, you got to dial it up. Those 2 guys have been there and done that. Then you have, of course, Coach Saban himself. Now, that brings me to my next point. And I want you all to hear this, because when you talk about the gauntlet of winning, okay, with the exception of Texas the Texas game, which will be in a couple of weeks. That Texas game is out there in Austin. But listen, that gauntlet of what they have to go through, their toughest games are going to be on the road. They got to go to LSU. They got to, they got Texas A&M at home. Yes, everybody knows that date, circled it already. But Arkansas is going to give them all they can handle, okay? Bama has to rise to the occasion against Arkansas. Got to go to Knoxville, go up to Tennessee. I mean, those places are where not just legends, but histories of success are made when you have to go through that gauntlet. And every coach worth his weight in gold knows exactly what I'm talking about. You got to go into enemy territory and win. You got to go ahead and snatch their souls on a Saturday evening in front of millions watching on television. That part of the success for Bama, yes, they got to go to Austin, Texas in a couple of weeks. Nothing against Coach Sarkisian, what he's putting together, but that ain't the meat of the battle that's coming. The battle is coming in October and early November. That's when the show is really going on. And of course, you slide in there talking about the ding, 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 the rematch, Saban against Jimbo Fisher coming to Tuscaloosa. That's going to be great in itself. Now, my last point about what makes Alabama special from a coach's standpoint. Yeah, all the media, publication, magazines say, okay, they got 5 starters coming back on offense. They got 7 on defense. No, they don't. That's a lie. Any coach that has to put his team together and he has to go out there and put together a depth chart, and he has to coach those guys, and he puts them through situations, live situations against great teams, we always make sure that we count those guys that maybe they didn't start the season as starters, but they ended the season as starters. They had to get the reps in awesome competition against the greatest teams on the face of the earth. Okay, yes, he had to play Georgia twice. Come on, had to play a Cincinnati team. Come on, you lost to Texas A&M. Come on. Who are those guys that had to get those reps? Okay, I got news for you. Georgia had Bama's number in the national championship game. Yes, all credit to them. Going to give it to them. Okay, they've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. Don't want to talk about injuries. From a coach's standpoint, you let the fans talk about that. Talk about who had to go play. And in that national championship game, there were some guys that had to rise up when the injuries did come, and they had to play well. And they didn't play well. But guess what? The depth of Alabama now is unbelievable. On the defensive side of the ball, you got 18 returning veteran reps players. That's what I call them. You got your veteran reps. You had to go in there and do that. Okay. So yes, Terrion Arnold is there, going to get some time with Eli Ricks. You got Braswell. You got Mbogi. You got Jaheim Oates, the freshman. Otis, the freshman that's there, that's going to get some playing time. But you got DJ Dale back. You got Malachi Moore. Okay. You got Branch. Okay. You got Kyrie Jackson. mean, come on. You got Kool-Aid, okay? To'o. Okay, you got Moody. Okay, you got a lot of players, Tim Smith, a lot of players. You got Byron Young, all those guys. There are 18 players on defense that had to get the reps. So that's not only 7 starters coming back. You got 18 guys that had to get some work in against Georgia twice, against Auburn, okay, against Cincinnati. I mean, come on, you're talking about the top of the food chain, at least on definitely 2 of those teams, okay? But Auburn went upside Bama's head first half. And then those other guys had to come back and make some plays to get, Bama back in the game. Jakari Brooks, okay? So let's flip it over to the offense side of the ball. You got more than just 5 players. You got 10 players that are battle tested, played against some of the top teams in the nation, had to fight on Sunday evening in front of millions on TV. Their decision-making they made would either cost their team or help their team win. And in those 10, I'm including Jahmyr Gibbs, who had to play. I'm talking about Tyler Harrell. Okay, we're talking about those other kids that are there now at Alabama now. So with that being said, great coaching, great coordinators still in place. You got a battle-tested star group on offense, defense, special teams. And then, of course, the last thing, we talk about all these, you talk about the gauntlet. See, this team is built for the gauntlet. That's going to be a great part of watching Alabama play this fall. They're built for January. And if you know anything about Alabama football, you know anytime they either lost a national championship, lost in the semifinals, usually they come back the next year and they win it all. I'm going to leave it right there. We got the butter from the duck today. Thank you for watching the show. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you comment. Make sure you subscribe. I got more coming for you. We're back in the saddle. We're going to have some fun with this. Thank you for watching Coach One Sports with yours truly, Coach Kevin Bull Jones. That's my point of view from a coaching standpoint. Bama is going to have it going on. We'll talk to you later.